let's move to the defensive side of the football. Of course, we'll head up front, and of course, there's three paramount players that are coming back in Jaheim Aotis. You got Tim Smith. You got Tim Keenan. Your thoughts about what the defensive front looks like?
Defensive front's got a nice rotation here, Mark. Guys deep across the board here. You mentioned the main three, Jaheim Otis, who's changed the spelling of his name by one letter. It's not Jaheim, which is Jahiem. It's now Jaheim, which is Jehiem. So he's
Okay.
changed his name by one letter this offseason. He's also changed his number, going from 91 to 10. He's going from 91 to 10 here on the defensive line. So big changes here for Mr. Otis, the former four-star from Columbia, Mississippi, in the 2021 class. You know, that young man right there. When you look at Tim Smith, a season ago, he started to really grow. I mean, his freshman year, the 2020 season, he kind of jumped off the table a little bit. Sophomore, senior season, 2021, excuse me, didn't have the big burst from the 2020 year. I mean, 2022, did some decent things, but all that much. But last season, he really started to come out as much as Bama fans thought they would. Bama fans thought they would see more of him early on, but last season, 31 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, really started to take more center stage. The former 5-star from Florida, now at 6'3", 6'4", 302 pounds now. So he's shedded some weight. He's dropped some weight. He's developed more of a pass rush to his game. He's always been kind of a decent, solid run stopper, but now he's developed more of a pass rushing prowess there. So Tim Smith, looking forward to seeing what this year comes for him, especially in the spring, seeing how he took a bit of a jump there in the 2023 campaign. Tim Keenan took a big step this past season in terms of being that 2-gapper in the middle. He was able to wiggle his way through to a sack last season, had 1.5 tackles for loss, but he did have 38 total tackles in 2023. The big performance for him, you go back to that Texas A&M game where he just was everywhere, jumping off the tape against the Aggies. I think he had 9 total tackles and established a presence there in the middle. So Bama Nation looking for even bigger numbers there for Tim Keenan. But Keenan, Smith, and Jaheim Otis are not as expected from those three. But other guys, you're throwing Damon Payne Jr., former 5-star in the 2022 class, 2021 class, excuse me, by the way of Michigan. A lot of people looking at Payne to have a big jump here. You look at Jamarian Latham, who came in that 2020 class from Pickens County High School in Reform, Alabama. People are looking for a rise from him. He also changed his number from 93 to 20. So Jamarian Latham going from number 93 to number 20. You got LT Overton, the transfer from Texas A&M. He's in here now. What can he do? What can he bring? What can he provide to this Alabama roster? So there's him. You also got young guys like Jordan Renard. You got young guys like Hunter Osborne, who came in the 2023 class. Going to be fun to see what can they provide. You got the likes of Jeremiah Beeman, who came in this recent class, 2024, by the way of Parker High School in Birmingham. There's a lot that he brings to the table. You got Steve Mboa, who came from Canada. That guy's a wrecking ball of an early enrollee. That's going to be fun to watch him, the tape he can put onto the field. So there's a lot of depth here in this defensive line rotation, coached by Freddie Roach. How much emphasis he will put on pulling out the best from all of these guys, getting all of these guys in the field. Going to be fun. But the ringleaders of this group, as you mentioned, Mark, it will be Tim Smith, it will be Jaheim Otis, and it will be Tim Keenan.
Stephen, who are those guys on the outside that will get to pin their ears back and go after the quarterback?
That's deep too, Mark, because you got big Quandarius Robinson back. You got guys like Keon Keeley. You got Yancey Pierre. Several just dudes. Jeremiah Alexander kind of rolling in there. I mean, you got guys just across the table that will have their opportunity to pin their ears back off the edge, go after the quarterback. Keanu Coote is back as well. Throw him in there. He'll have a shot there. So that there are several guys that have the ability to pin their ears back, come off the edge, and rock the quarterback to the ground. It's just going to be who in this 4-2-5 set, led by Kane Womack as the defensive coordinator, and now outside linebackers coach Chris Robinson, who has a ton of experience in the SEC. When you look at coaching at Auburn, coached at Florida, coached at Mississippi State, coached at Georgia, coached at Ole Miss. The guy's been to half of the SEC, being one Chris Robinson. So looking at him and Kane Womack, which are the guys here on the roster that these two coaches have the most confidence in, putting them out there and having these guys attack the quarterback. But Bama's got the depth there in terms of edge rushers.
Yeah, this team finished 14th in the nation in sacks. Of course, Dallas Turner had a whole lot to do with that, not just his total, but taking pressure off of other guys that could get freed up. So he's gone. Chris Braswell's gone. Tresman Marshall, all those guys have taken their shots at the NFL, of course. So do you feel confident that that gap can be made up, that there's that kind of talent to make up for those kind of players?
I think the talent is definitely there to make up the gap of production that's being lost. You look at Quandarius Robinson, he did get some burn last year and showed his ability to edge being off the snap of the ball, showing the explosiveness, converting speed to power. I like what he brings. Keanu Coote is more so of a freakish athlete, and he's got a little bit more speed than what Robinson has. So that's going to be fun to even watch him. Then you look at a guy like Keon Keeley. That guy's a potential freak show. I mean, just his body type, he looks like a cut between Will Anderson and Terrell Lewis. And that's just scary to think about. When you get just a body type of Keon Keeley, he's a cut between Anderson and Lewis. Then you got Yancey Pierre. His first cousin is Courtney Upshaw. Just think about that for a minute. Pierre's first cousin is a former Bama legend and Courtney Upshaw. So it's the talent's there. And of course, an inside linebacker, you got Deontay Lawson, who changed his number from 32 to 0. So Bama's got its first agent 0. We're in that number right there, and that's Deontay Lawson. And behind him or next to him, you do have Jihad Campbell, who's changed his number from 30 to 11. So he's going to number 11 now, Jihad Campbell. Those are your main two inside guys. Behind those two, you have Justin Jefferson, who will get burned out there as well. And then after him, you got just different guys here on the roster that can play that position. Jeremiah Alexander can be an inside guy or an outside guy. He's kind of been cross-trained throughout this time here. So, I mean, you have Justin Okunrokwo, young man from Germany, who came as a 3-star. He's in there in that inside linebacker room as well. So the talent's all across the board. It's in spring ball, who can show I'm the real cream of the crop? And I've said this before, in the 17 years with Nick Saban, you had the constant stability, but at the same time, Coach Saban at points could be a little bit too loyal to particular players. When you look at Kalen DeBoer, he has no ties to you whatsoever. So if you got to show him and his staff, I'm the real deal in order to earn a starting spot here, starting off here in spring practice. So my excitement, Mark, will be on who are the guys that can grab the eyeballs, grab the attention quickly and say, play me, because I'm the guy needing to be on the field.
We've got the incomparable Stephen M. Smith of Touchdown Alabama here to break down Bama on both sides of the football. Check out the other videos. You can catch Stephen's work in my own words every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, right here on YouTube at 6:30 Central. And get locked in. This is the time to do it. It's spring football. Be an expert and check out Stephen. Touchdown Alabama as well. Well, the defense was 18th in total defense, 17th in points given up. Really strong in the red zone and yards per play, a top 22 unit there. As we move on to the secondary, of course, the big losses there. Caleb Downs through the transfer portal to Ohio State. Trey Amos, a cornerback loss within the conference to Ole Miss. So let's start there at cornerback. And I see a slew of 5-stars coming in at both corner and safety. But how does it stack up? Well, Damani Jackson, of course, coming in from USC. That's a huge addition.
That's a huge addition. And people like to say, well, USC struggled defensively last season. That was not on Damani Jackson. A lot of that was the scheme and the structure from Alex Grinch. That was not on Damani Jackson. This kid, former 5-star, this kid can play. He can flat play. And so coming into Alabama, he's going to be coached by Coach Maurice Linguist, who's got experience in the SEC, who's got experience in the NFL, coaching the Dallas Cowboys. It's going to be fun to see what Coach Mo can do in developing the talent and the technique that is Damani Jackson at one of 2 corner spots. The corner opposite of him, that will be where the fun is, because you got Jaleel Hurley, who's the lone 2023 scholarship holdover at that cornerback spot. And so you got Hurley from Florence, Alabama. I like Hurley, but behind him, you got the Young Bucks. This is going to be real fun here. With behind Hurley, you got Rydarius Morgan, you got Drake Kirkpatrick Jr., you got Jalen Mbakwe, you got Xavier Brown, who's got Patrick Surtain like teach tape. You got Xavier Mincy. You got dudes at that cornerback spot. So, Damani Jackson can hold down a spot at one corner position coming up from USC. That other spot's going to be a full-on fight through spring ball. And that's going to be where the fun is. Who rises from this pack of young guys to say, I'm ready now, put me in the pan, let me go to work. There could be some growing pains in there, but if the upside outweighs the growing pains, let's see what we got here. So that's at the cornerback spot. Damani Jackson coming over from USC, he would anchor down one area, but the spot opposite him is where the fun starts.
And that bar is sky high, of course, based on the cornerback play at Alabama, and most notably and most recently, Kool-Aid McKinstry, Terrion Arnold. They, of course, are moving on to the NFL. Malachi Moore, of course, good to see him back at the safety position. So he anchors that group back there. So how do you size up the safety spot?
That's going to be fun, too, because you look at Malachi coming back for his 5th season, and big for him because his freshman year, 2020, we remember he exploded onto the scene, and we all thought this guy's going to be, 3 years and gone, after his freshman season. But he encountered some injuries, some tough moments there, and then Brian Branch just really took off. Then, of course, last year we saw Malachi, the bounce back year, healthy, 52 tackles, 5 of those for loss. 5 pass breakups, 1 interception, showing you he still got it. So this upcoming season, you look at Malachi, he could either be in that Husky Rover, close to the line of scrimmage defensive back, to where he is playing those run fits. He's also playing in coverage as well, kind of in that star nickel corner role that he's been known for playing in, or he could be moved to safety due to his experience back there as well. Played a lot of safety in high school, Hewitt-Trussville here in Alabama. So it's going to be interesting to see, what do they do with Malachi? Do they keep him closer to the box as that nickel corner, allow him to use that physicality, or do they put him back there at safety and let him utilize those coverage skills? That's going to be fun there. For 2 safeties, you bring over Keon Sabb from Michigan. And here's a guy that can play some ball also. Keon Sabb, a season ago, helping the Wolverines get to, a Big Ten championship, college football playoff, and then winning a national championship under one Jim Harbaugh. Sabb has got some versatility. He can play corner. He can play safety. Where does Kane Womack feel the most comfortable placing him? And if he plays safety, opposite him, you got Devontae Smith, who is back. He missed a lot of time last year due to a foot injury. He came back throughout a portion of 2023, played in the SEC championship game, got some burn there in the Rose Bowl. So you have him back. And then you got Tony Mitchell, former 5-star in that 2023 class from Thompson High School. He came in the same class with Caleb Downs. Of course, Downs became the big star. He's now at Ohio State now, by the way, the transfer portal. But Tony Mitchell can ball. He came in at 6'2", 205 pounds. He's probably at 210 now. And then Tony Mitchell at the bowl prep there for the Rose Bowl did a lot of work there running with the second team. So this Alabama secondary gonna be fun to see how this shapes up. You got Peyton Woodyard, who came in that 2024 class, by the way, of St. John's Bosco High School in California. That young brother can play too. So the safety position, the corner position, you got some veterans there. When you discuss Malachi Moore and guys with experience, Damani Jackson, Keon Sabb, Devontae Smith, a little experience there this past season at Alabama. But this secondary, it's going to be competition. Who wants it bad enough? And spring ball is going to be exciting, Mark.
That's a lot of names, and I know all of them can run. That's for sure. And of course, I don't remember what Bama back it was, but Keon Sabb made himself, he had a introductory greeting there at the Rose Bowl. I remember out there in the flat, he met somebody out there in the second half.
Yeah, he put a lick on somebody out there in that matchup. So this secondary, Coach Mo Linguist, who will primarily coach corners, Coach Scott Hitzler, who's got this massive safety background. Going to be fun to watch these two coaches develop this back end of this defense.
Well, Stephen, it's certainly got to be a sense of pride and a very unique experience to be able to say, I am the all-time scoring leader in college football. And Will Reichard can say that. And regardless of what he ever does at the next level, he will be and is at this point the all-time scoring leader in college football, which is an amazing accomplishment, of course. But he moves on. The punter's back. The guys returning the punts and kickoffs, when you look at Downs and McKinstry, of course, they've moved on. So kind of size this up in the special teams area.
Well, first and foremost, thank goodness you got James Burnett back, flipping the field from a punting aspect. Made huge improvement between his first year and this past season. This past year, I think he averaged a little over 48 yards a punt. He really did well. In the Rose Bowl, Burnett was the MVP. I mean, he was pinning Michigan back inside for 20 several times in that matchup. So very huge to have James Burnett here back in the fold.
And not to cut you off, Stephen, but of course he almost won the game when
I'm telling you, he did. He nearly. I'm telling you, if Bama holds on and wins 20-13, you would have to give the MVP to Burnett. You would literally have to give the MVP to James Burnett. That's how good he was. I mean, on the punt, that his legs got taken out in. I mean, that punt was a 55, 60-yard boomer. I mean, he really made a jump from the first year, 2022, to last year.
Absolutely.
An impressive jump, but happy to have him back. When you look at the kicking aspect, it's crying tears losing Will Reichard. As much as you want to give him another year, he's off to the NFL, and congrats to that young man. Accomplished so much in his time here in Tuscaloosa. The NCAA's all-time leading kicker, scorer where points are concerned, but not just that. He was the one that erased all the kicking woes that happened across the landscape. When you look at Alabama football, a guy that you never had to worry about, is the kick going to go through? You had the confidence that 16, wearing that jersey from Hoover, Alabama, was going to make the kick, and wish the absolute best for Reich, whichever team picks him up in the NFL draft. But Connor Talty, who came in the 2023 class, spent a lot of time around Reichard. Reichard kind of took him under his wing, coached him up a whole lot, a great deal. So hopefully a lot of the lessons that Talty took from Reichard have rubbed off on him, and we can see a continuation of greatness in the kicking game from Connor Talty. When you discuss the kickoff return, punt return specialist here, I look at guys like Kendrick Law could have a shot here. I look at a Kendrick Law. I look at Emmanuel Henderson. And E-Man would have been the punt returner last year, but he got a hip injury in a spring summer workouts and fall camp. That was tough there on E-Man, but he's back healthy. So Kendrick Law, Emmanuel Henderson could do it. Kobe Prentice, a guy that's got speed to burn coming out of Calera High School. That could be an interesting role for him. Cole Adams could be an interesting role for him, returning kicks and or punts. So Bama's got a few names there that can do it. It's going to come down to who feels the most comfortable fielding the ball cleanly, judging the bounce of the ball cleanly, and just when the ball hits your hands, having that ability to catch, go, and create excitement. So that's going to be the main thing there is who has the natural instinct for the ball, fielding it well, and just providing some excitement once you get it.
Well, Stephen, you know that I love these personnel breakdowns, so thank you so much. I will be spending the spring and every time that I go to Bama about every day and try to check in. And then especially when I watch the A-Day game, then I'm like, find myself saying, oh, Steven said this. And oh yeah. Steven told me that. Oh yeah. I remember this battle. Okay. I got it. So you keep me ahead of the curve. I appreciate it, Steven. It's always a pleasure, and enjoy Alabama spring practice.
Absolutely, Mark. I appreciate you, man. Take care.